Hi pals, it's me, Artie, they them pronouns only, and I thought I would talk about something that I don't think I've really seen a lot of really discussed online when it comes to ADHD medication. I mean, I'm sure it's probably been discussed before, but I have not personally seen it. I mean, I guess I haven't really looked for it necessarily, but I thought I would give my own personal experiences on the topic of how I know my stimulants are wearing off. These are very much my own experiences, which are also layered with, other neurodivergence, like my auditory processing disorder, as well as dyslexia, autism, etc., and my physical health too. So whilst there's a lot of things that may or may not actually be the medication itself wearing off, this is kind of my own personal experience and kind of how I gauge my stimulants wearing off and either needing the next dose or needing to be a bit more careful with myself in the evening. So I've been on a couple of medications now. Originally I was on just like a pretty standard brand of methylphenidate, extended release, which was just one pill a day, which I thought would probably suit me best because I do struggle remembering to take other medications at different times of the day. However, for me, it lasted a really long time. Most of the time, the extended release is supposed to be like 8, maybe 10 hours maximum, but I found that it would last 12 hours, which kind of gave very little flexibility for me and my life. And also, I don't necessarily always need 12 hours of stimulant support in my life. Like, I do need it at home for a lot of my, very simple home related executive functioning. However, because of my chronic illnesses, disabilities, etc., a lot of the time the amount I actually need to do those things is shorter than other people's, particularly as I don't work traditionally. So I can kind of, take time off, take days off, etc. as and when needed, sort of. Technically I can. So after that I changed to, I was on that for a year. I've got videos on that, the process of titrating and how I was feeling on it. So I was generally just having like a bad time with symptoms generally. I wasn't sure if it was caused or worsened by the medication, and I wasn't sure if it was just something else going on. I think really it was most likely my weird dysautonomic issues going on. Again, I've talked about that a few times too, but I still felt that 12 hours generally was just too much. So we switched to a different methylphenidate medication that is technically like, I can't remember what exactly they call it. I wonder if it's on here. Oh, that's it, modified release capsules. So they're like kind of a combination between instant release and then the extended release. So they have a shorter lifespan. So I have to take 2 of these a day for like a full day's dose basically. And again, these last longer than what they really do for like most other people average. So I think they expected it to be about 4 hours. I find they're about 6-ish, depending on the day, depending on how I've taken them and other things like that. So I do struggle taking the second one in the day quite a lot of the time, especially if I'm out and about, but I do like the flexibility that it has given me to be able to maybe adjust when I'm taking them, whether I need to take 2 or not for a shorter day. So those are the 2 medications that I have been on so far. I also, when it was the original extended release one, I had been on a bunch of different brands too. So I know that the brands can change the effect for a lot of people, but I didn't really find a lot of difference between them for me personally. I can't remember exactly all of the brands that I'd been on, but I know one of them was Concerta. The first and main one is Zagatin, which is sort of one of the like fancier brands, one of the nicer brands. But I also was on another one that I can't remember the name of because it was just, I got it randomly like once. So that's kind of just the general gist and update. Any further details on any of those and the experience of titrating, you can go and watch old videos. So to really talk more about my own personal experience of how I know these medications are wearing off. They're a little bit different from the extended release versus the modified release. So I'll just try to go through them and sort of explain. I often find I don't usually start feeling these symptoms or, you know, side effects, I guess, until maybe roughly like around when I should have taken them / half an hour after I should have taken them, which unfortunately is a bit of a pain in the ass. Like, a lot of the times I'll take medications because my body's telling me, oh yeah, by the way, babes, you forgot you need to take this. So like my pain meds in the evening, I'll be like, wow, everything hurts so much. I wonder why that is. And then it's like, oh yeah, I need to take my pain meds. Whereas it doesn't quite work as well for ADHD stimulants. The main thing I notice personally is nasal congestion. That was one of the most amazing things about starting stimulants. I have had nasal congestion my whole fucking life. I don't know why. I mean, I guess this might be why I have ADHD. I've sort of read a little bit into this, so I don't really know exactly because it's talking about chemicals and processes that I don't really fully understand. But like the general gist is dopamine has a role in the sinuses, pretty much. So if your dopamine center doesn't really work properly, it can't make that stuff work properly either. And I don't really have any technically other issues with my sinuses. I do get inflammation up there, but that could also maybe be technically related to this. But yeah, so I find that when my medications are running out, you know, like in my system, one of the first signs is I just can't breathe as well. Just cannot breathe out my nose. So out comes the nasal spray. So I can clear my sinuses again and breathe and go to bed without feeling like I'm suffocating, you know? So that's one of the few like very, very obviously connected signs for me personally. I also tend to get headaches, neck ache, sometimes chest pain if it's sort of running out of my system. Sometimes I find symptoms in my eyesight as well. I have a few different kind of issues with my sight. Obviously I'm short-sighted, so I can't see things far away without glasses or contacts. I also have a very slight astigmatism in one eye. I don't really fully know quite what that does, to be honest, but I know it makes lights all wiggly and annoying. And makes me a lot more anxious about driving because I find driving at night difficult for that particular reason. And then when I was really young, the first reason I got glasses is because I struggled with double vision when I was tired. I still have that struggle, but nobody's been able to really explain to me what that was or why I had glasses for that and what the glasses were meant to do. Because I don't know if they actually did anything, babe. So like when the stimulants are like coming out of my system, I do find it harder for me to focus my eyes. It's kind of like they've become tired. And like I said, I tend to get like some double vision I find difficult to like focus hard enough to prevent. Because I don't know if anyone remembers that TikTok trend at one point during like the lockdowns. If I can find the video that I made, I'll add it in. But like there was I don't know, I think more than just ADHDs can do this, but there was a whole thing about how if you have ADHD, you can like purposefully unfocus your eyes. And I've always been able to do that. And when I caught it on video, I think it was my right eye just goes and looks elsewhere, babe. It's just, she's not home. She's looking at the moon.
You're telling me I went my whole life thinking that everyone could unfocus their eyes on command. You're kidding. Apparently it's only people with ADHD. A. Perks. I'm special.
So like I find it really hard to refocus, and especially reading and looking at screens it becomes a lot harder. And this can also be possibly why I get the headaches as well during like the stimulants running out in my system, because my eyes are like straining to try and compensate. I also get fatigue, especially if I have missed my second dose. I just get really sleepy and sometimes will struggle to like literally just keep my eyes open in like sort of early afternoon, early evening time, like way before like actual bedtime. But if I give in, my sleep routine's fucked. It's over for me. And like that's been one of the things that I've found that ADHD meds have actually helped me quite a lot with, is that I don't know if it's ADHD related necessarily, but I do have a lot of fatigue issues, either related to other conditions I have or any particular malnutrition reasons. Like, Jesus, when I had a very slight iron deficiency, oh my god, I was so exhausted. But there was, yeah, that period between changing ADHD stimulants where I had stopped taking the long-lasting ones because I wanted to try and see if that was making like my heart rate and stuff like issues worse, and then I just fucking fell asleep. I just passed out. I was gone at 3 p.m, done for the day. Then I did not sleep well that night, and then I was horrible the next day. Sometimes as well, if as it's sort of running out of my system, I'm in the middle of a task, which can also mean I'm likely to forget to take the next dose, I actually feel more zoned in. So I feel like my hyperfixation mode gets activated when I'm it's like that's the double-edged sword really, is like, you know, ADHD meds help me initiate and complete tasks, so whilst it's still in my system I'm able to initiate a task, but then suddenly as it's leaving my system I can't be a normal person about whatever I'm doing, and it's like tunnel vision, doing this thing and only this thing until I get to the bottom of it, or my body like crashes and implodes. And like I said, it's very easy for me to miss a second dose if that's happening, because I'll find that like 3 hours later, oh yeah, I never took that medication, never took the second dose. Whoopsie. Did you hear that? Nasty. I've been a nasty girl. I've been a nasty girl. And then like again, connected to the hyperfixation, it becomes a lot more difficult to, like I said, be a normal person about anything. Like I said, can be stuck doing this task or researching for hours on end, and it is a lot worse for my interoception that I can and will ignore physical signs that I need to go to the toilet or need to have a drink or need to eat food. So I'll sort of, if I'm finally either at the end of a task or like my body is so desperate for like tiny morsel of attention please, I will sort of like come out of the task feeling so nauseous that I don't know if I should eat because I missed a meal, or if I'm gonna feel even sicker if I try to eat, and then I'm like absolutely desperate to go to the fucking toilet that I can give myself stomach aches. So yeah, that's sort of like the add-on to the hyperfixation problem. And like this one's gonna be a very obvious one because it's kind of like the whole one of the main reasons why people want to be on stimulants when they have ADHD or possibly even ME is that you start finding it harder to think in a straight line and keep on task, or like processing things becomes a lot harder because your brain is not able to like, I don't know, grasp onto that information properly. So your brain is just kind of, it just feels like sludge because it's just not going. It's just sort of like beep boop beep boop, and you just hoping for the best. I've also said that sometimes I will have a lot more physical symptoms of overdoing it that will start showing up when my meds are running out as well. So like the facial flushing and like my chest pain and the headaches, those sorts of things are also like my own chronically ill body's signs of sort of overdoing things. Because as well, dopamine has its own role in pain management, pain relief. So there's quite a high possibility that actually my ADHD meds help my body not feel quite as much of that pain, which can again lead to me maybe overdoing things physically at times. But like, I think really those signs, especially like the facial flushing, more related to the chronic illness side of things, like my POTS and my possible ME. I don't know, but like the impact that ADHD meds has on that, and coming off them has on that. I also find that I am just missing small things in tasks I'm doing if my meds have worn off or are wearing off. So I'll be finding it harder to type, missing spelling mistakes, and connected to that too is like losing the small amount of coordination that my body has. Because like I think part of the reason why my typing gets worse is just because like I just cannot coordinate my hands. My hands are just doing whatever they want, honestly. And then it's the same for like my whole body. As the stimulants wear off, I'll be bumping into things more, knocking things over, spilling food or drink down myself, dropping stuff, things like that. Like just my general coordination will start just going absolutely haywire. I used to have really big crashes as well with my original medication I was on, which like generally I think is really interesting because most professionals say it's the opposite, that people usually have more extreme crashes with like the shorter doses, whereas like I think especially at the start of the extended release methylphenidates, but it did kind of carry on here and there, I would just have a massive energy crash, a wild need to like snack, like the need for both like stimulus but also calories for energy. And like, yeah, I don't experience really anything like that anymore on this new medication that I'm on. So yeah, like the thing that I always say generally when I make videos on medication or videos that mention medication is that, you know, of course everybody's body is different. They might have like a general idea of like this is what usually happens to people, but like everybody's body is different, especially if you have got a selection of health conditions like me. Like bodies just react differently. So whilst they might expect you to respond in a certain way, it is very possible for that to just not actually be the case for you personally. Like I don't know what it would be like if I was on like an even shorter fast acting dose, because I've never been on that myself, but I have personally found that I don't really have the same kind of crashes after my modified mid-release tablets versus the extended release ones. And then, yeah, I guess the last couple of things is that, again, sort of related to the one beforehand, like, mostly I just found that I needed something to do with my hands and my mouth. Like, again, like I said before, cravings, really just wanting to like eat foods, like mainly it was usually like craving sugary sweets and things. So at one point, again, that was more for the long acting one, so like at one point it got so bad that I was trying to replace the just like pure sugar carb whatever. I can't think of a way to talk about like sweets and chocolate and stuff in a way that's not stigmatizing right now. I can't think of what the right wording is I want. But like non-nutritious, that's it. I tried to replace the non-nutritious things I actually wanted to eat with just mass amounts of fruit. I did read that supposedly eating things with vitamin C as you're like as the stimulants are sort of wearing off in your system can help make the crashes less severe. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I did try to replace sweets with fruit for a while, but honestly, fruit actually makes my teeth hurt more than sweets do. But yeah, I did try to eat a lot of like, you know, oranges, apples, grapes, I don't know, like anything that I had in the house that I liked, I tried to just like eat those. And it did kind of work for the whole like doing something with your hands in your mouth thing. And I mean, they did taste nice, but I feel like I had more negative side effects to demolishing a large bowl of fruit than I did when I was eating sweets because of my teeth. But yeah, like I don't know if it really helped lessen the crashes, but it was worth a try, innit? Like, and I mean, I've definitely done a few different kinds of hobbies or things to do with my art business that are like very much just keeping your hands busy kind of vibe, but unfortunately I can't just like forever permanently do those things because I would just have mass amounts of these things. I don't really have too many. I know where to put them all and like nothing I can do. So I'm a bit stuck. Like I still feel the need to like do something with my hands, and sometimes I do still have like cravings and like the want to just sort of sit and like eat. I am a little bit better now at being able to distinguish when it's just me wanting to like do something versus me actually being hungry and craving something in the food that I'm craving. So like other things that I have done in the evenings to keep my hands busy whilst I'm like watching TV or something with my family or by myself, is that like with my Stardew Valley on my iPad, I often just go and continue playing like old save files where I don't necessarily have to be like actively involved in doing things, and it's just a lot of like feeding the animals, collecting the fruit and the food and making the things and like selling the things, and like rather than doing all of like the missions and stuff, I'm just doing the day-to-day stuff that will I don't necessarily need to do it for those save files, but sometimes you do to then be able to progress in like other goals at other points. So that's one thing I suggest maybe trying to do, is finding something that keeps your hands busy that's not necessarily keeping your brain busy, especially if you're trying to do something else. And I do have some fidget toys that I sometimes use, but I don't really like when you're not necessarily getting something out of it at the end, doesn't really hit the dopamine, but those are some of the things that I do to just try and keep me a little bit sane. And yeah, those are kind of just my own personal experiences of how I know that my meds are wearing off, and either to quickly go take the next dose if needed depending on the time, or try to like manage the energy crashes, need to fidget, brain not going in one direction, brain because yeah, I think it was sort of discussed with me in my first titration experience, but I don't really remember what they said, and as well I think a lot of my own personal experiences have looked and felt a little bit different. Like I said as well, I experienced bigger and crappier crashes on the extended release rather than on a shorter release version, which is the opposite of what I'd been told. So yeah, a lot of it is just kind of navigating how things are impacting you personally, and finding things that work for you, that work for your brain, to like kind of manage those symptoms and side effects. Because yeah, I mean, I can't really take my stimulants if they are going to last too late into like the evening, because then I find it really difficult to get to sleep. So I tend to try to make sure that my stimulants aren't going to be kind of active in my system all the way up until like 10 p.m. Like usually 9 p.m. is the latest I will sort of I'm okay with. And yeah, like I said, like I know that these meds sort of last around 6 hours ago, so sometimes I take them in sort of an overlapping hour, sometimes I don't, I take them in 2 separate chunks to make a full like 12 hours. Like it really just depends on the day, and I'm still kind of experimenting with how things feel to my body, and like I personally don't really take my meds with food. I'm thinking about doing another video about like the side effects but also the drawbacks of being on stimulants. That are things like I don't think many people necessarily would know to think about, and aren't really things that are discussed like with psychiatrists or titrating nurses and stuff. Yeah, that will kind of include more about what I was just saying. I can't remember what I was just saying. I've forgotten. So yeah, let me know if you'd like to see that video where I talk more about, like I said, it's not just the side effects but also just like the general drawbacks in life when it comes to things you have to think about because you're now taking a stimulant. Like there wasn't enough of either for a full video, and I just kind of felt like they kind of went well enough together, and some of them are kind of related. So if you want that video, let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to make that video, especially from, you know, my own personal point of view and how those decisions impact what I do day to day. But other than that, that is my video this week. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share my videos, watch my other videos, and yeah, I can't remember what I was gonna say. I swear I am on my ADHD meds. I'm just very burnt out, so it's almost like I'm not on stimulants at the moment. And if I don't take my stimulants, then I literally don't function. It's great out here. Yeah, I know somebody wanted sort of an update of how I'm doing on my meds, but I don't really have one, to be honest. Things are going okay. I don't have bad side effects. Really, not much. Nothing that's not manageable. And a lot of the things that were bothering me a year ago have basically been solved by taking propranolol, but that is not a one-size-fits-all, obviously. My video on propranolol goes into more detail about my experience and why I ended up on propranolol in the first place, and how that's impacted me. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, go watch that video as well. But that's it for this week. I'll see you next week. Bye.